everybody. Welcome to the Logan Center Blues Fest. I'm Lee Fagan, Associate Director for University Arts Engagement, and we're thrilled to have you here to kick off this new initiative here at the University of Chicago. I'd like to thank the Reva and David Logan Foundation and the Jonathan Logan Family Foundation for all of their support of this festival, for Billy Branch for bringing us a lot of ideas in this adventure in blues programming, and for everybody's tremendous support of this new series. I'd also like to thank our first advisory committee, Dick Sherman, Mickey Dietler, Barry Dolans, and many people who helped us, including Mike Kappas, who coordinated last night's showcase. So we're thrilled to have many of you back here tonight. This conversation you're about to hear is part of a new effort to help archive stories of blues musicians through this program series. And we are happy to have Billy Branch and some of the stars of the Chicago Blues here tonight for bringing the blues back to the South Side, including Jimmy Johnson, Eddie Clearwater, Corky Siegel, Lil Ed, and Melody Angel. Thank you all for being here tonight. Without further ado, Billy is going to take it away to have a conversation with all these stars. So thank you all again for being here tonight. And we hope many of you come back tomorrow as the festivities continue. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for coming down. And this is what we hope to be the first of many more to come. And I'm really honored and happy to be with these esteemed gentlemen and young lady. How about a nice round of applause for all the great musicians on stage? And so we're going to do this in chronological order. We're going to start with the only female artist performing tonight, and that is the lovely Melody Angel. Please welcome. Melody is really the newcomer. And I confess, I suggested her for this show, but I've yet to hear her live. I know her through reputation and through her videos and through YouTube, but I was very impressed at what I saw. And she is one of the rare female guitarists in town. So once again, one more time for Melody Angel. And so Melody, I understand that your mother and you have several family members that are also musicians, correct?
Yeah, almost everybody sings or plays an instrument.
And I read that you were influenced by Michael Jackson and Beat It video and Prince, Purple Rain, is that correct?
Yeah, well, Purple Rain pretty much for the guitar. Like, that was the first time I ever saw a guitar, and it was shaped so weird, and it sounded awesome, and I was like, man, what is that? Give me that. I was 7, so there you go.
When did you get your first guitar?
When I was 14, my mom got me one at a pawn shop, and it's the same guitar I play right now, so.
Okay. I've also read that when you first got on the scene, you were trying to participate in a lot of the local jam sessions, but they didn't exactly welcome you with open arms.
Yeah, when I first started, it wasn't until I went to a jam at Rose's Lounge where I met Lil Ed, and he just totally made me feel comfortable and just was like, just come up here and let's have a good time. It was so welcoming that it was the first time I got to like really relax and just have fun playing the blues. So yeah, it was Rose's Lounge and Lil Ed.
She was good at it too.
Now, from what I've heard and from what I understand, you wouldn't really necessarily classify yourself. Would you classify yourself as necessarily a blues artist?
No. I hope that when people listen to my music that they realize that I was heavily influenced by the blues. It's more like a mix of the blues and rock.
Okay. Well, given especially the present company and the historical significance of Chicago blues, do you feel any pressure to live up to a certain standard? Is there any pressure on you when you perform, or?
Well, no, just because, I mean, I was raised to be true to myself and to let whoever I am come out and not be afraid of, like, what other people would think about that. And I just feel like if I'm honest up here, that I'll be able to relate. And they won't be like, oh, it's not blues enough or it's not rock enough. It'll just be, that's just how Melody Angel is.
Okay. Now, who would you call your favorite artists, blues and non-blues? Who are your favorite artists?
Man, that's hard. Jimi Hendrix probably is my favorite artist as far as guitar. I learned the most from him, listening to him. Otis Rush, B.B. King.
Wait a minute. Didn't you tell me?
I
Aren't you
actually
related
found
to
out
Otis
that
Rush?
I was related to Otis Rush.
And how is that?
I'm a cousin. My mom's first cousin was his daughter. So I didn't even know that. My mom ended up telling me. And I heard his name my whole life. They was like, yeah, you know, Otis was over there, and they was hanging out. And I was like, okay. I don't know what they were saying. And then my mom was like, but you know, he was like big in the blues. And I was like, what do you mean? And so I looked him up on YouTube, and then I was like, oh my God, this is that Otis Rush. So I don't know. Yeah, that was.
And your mother also was a big influence, right? She's quite a quite a fantastic singer, phenomenal singer herself, right?
Yeah, she's a great singer, and she done musical theater at the Black Ensemble Theater. In a lot of different plays, and she's sung all over the world, so she's definitely the reason why I can sing, no doubt about it. I pretty much got it from her.
I saw something where you said that the first time you sang in front of your mother, you were pretty scared.
Yeah, I was, because, you know, when your mom can really sing, like, everywhere you go, people be like, do you sing like your mama? And you be like, no. You know? I mean, that's how I was. I was like, no, I can't hit that note. What y'all talking about? So I had, you know, I was self-conscious about it, and one day we were singing in the car. We always did that, and I was just singing and just feeling it. It was, my song was on. And she was like, oh, you sound really good. And I was like, I do. And then I was like, okay, well, I could probably do this. If she think I could sing, then that was enough for me.
That's right.
And your mother is your manager too, right?
That's right, yeah.
And she's here tonight, right?
She is. She's right there.
How do you think we get more young people, especially because this has always been a challenge to get African Americans in general, but especially young African Americans interested and involved in the blues? What do you think we could do to change that?
Well, I think it starts with accepting them in the sense of letting them hear the music and feel it their own way. Like, maybe they'll be influenced like I was and put it into their music. Maybe they'll go all the way deep in and love it, but I feel like a lot of them are intimidated, because I was intimidated to go to blues clubs. Like, I was like, well, I can't play with them. They know everything. I can't get up there with them. So it's that intimidation thing. So I feel like if they knew that it was an open place and accepting, like when I went into Rosa's, it was totally different from going into another club because of how they received me. And I think if they know that there's a positive environment for them, that they'll at least come out and give it a chance, and then they'll see how great it is.
You have a song, an original song, and quite a few, because you do a lot of your own material, right? Mm-hmm. And one in particular that struck me, I saw on YouTube, and it's entitled "In This America." You're going to perform that tonight, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you tell us a little bit about that song?
Well, In This America is a song that I wrote after just kind of, you just have one of those moments where you see like some kids playing at a playground or whatever, and you start thinking, like I'm starting to think about when I'll have a family of my own, and it's a dangerous world that we live in already, but it's really dangerous for young black men right now. They have so much on them as far as, you know, gangs are trying to kill them, and in a lot of cases, police, and that's very unfortunate. It's a scary time, and not only is that happening, but people are getting away with murdering young black men. So it makes you kind of afraid to think about having a son one day. And when I really started to think about that, that's how I pretty much started writing In This America.
All right. One more time for Melody Angel. And we look forward to hearing a lot more from you. She's the new kid on the block. All right. So we're going to move down the line. The next youngest person is my buddy. I've known him probably as long as I've been out here on the scene. Hakuna Matata, my brother.
Hakuna Matata.
He's one of the most exciting, fun to watch, fun to hear, crazy guys that I know, but please give it up for little Ed Williams. Ed, okay, you were born in Chicago, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And your group, the Little Ed and the Imperials.
Blues Imperials.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, my brother. Little Ed and the Blues Imperials, you all began that 1975, is that correct?
85.
85,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
You have 9 albums on Alligator.
Yes.
Okay. And you also play bass and drums.
Yes.
You started out on bass and drum?
Actually, I started out messing around with bass because when I'm writing, I usually write down, I'll usually lay down all the music so the guys can know what I want them to play.
Okay.
And I started playing drums before I actually started playing guitar because my uncle would come over, J.B. Huddle, he would come over.
Yeah, I was going to get, yeah, but I want you to tell us a little bit more about your uncle, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, J.B. would come over and play for the family. And what would happen, he'd always come over on a Sunday. So we'd go to church that morning. My family would sing gospel to around about 1 o'clock. And then J.B. would come over and he'd start playing the blues. And, you know, my auntie thought I wanted to play drums, so she bought me a drum set. And J.B. taught me how to do some beats on the drums. And that's how I started playing drums. And then he seen that I was fascinated with the slide, because I like to slide. Back in the day, I say that well, you know what I'm talking about when I say back in the day.
I don't know.
You don't know. Well, back in the day when I was coming up, the youngsters, the kids wasn't allowed in the living room with the grown-ups when they were drinking and having a good time. So we had to stay in the room, our room, and play. But I would always run to the door and be peeping in because I wanted to hear that music because it was sounding so good. And I think we only had light bulbs, 40 watts. They wasn't 100 watts back then, 40. 40 watts. And it was kind of dim. And all I could see was that slide shimmering in the darkness because J.B. would sit way back in the back. And so he finally seen that I was watching that slide, and that's how he started to teach me.
All right. I had occasion to sit in with your uncle on a few rare occasions, and he was phenomenal, one of the true legends, master of the slide. And I'm sure everybody will agree that Man, you haven't missed a beat in picking up where your uncle left off. He was a phenomenal artist.
JB was my idol, you know. He was all I had coming up as a kid at that time. Because, you know, I didn't want to go out and be, actually my baby brother was the wild guy. I was the guy that kind of stayed in the house and watched things. And I learned a lot from JB. I learned how to treat people and how to be around people because he showed me and taught me these things.
Also, you've been nominated for 8 Blues Music Awards as Band of the Year and won that award twice?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Living Blues magazine describes your band as rough and ready South and West Side blues. Says Ed's guitar work can be riveting, and the Imperials pound out blues, rock riffs, and rhythms behind him as if they're overdosing on boogie juice.
Well, I ain't had none of that, but I like to try a little bit of that.
Guitar Player magazine called the band a snarling boogie blues machine. Okay, I got one more. I'm trying to keep this according to time.
Okay.
I would. How are you always so happy on stage and so I mean, this cat walks on his toes, and they got the Ed heads with fans with his face on it, and you go to shows and you see all these fans, so it's like 2,000 or 3,000 little Eds in the audience. So. Why are you so? What's behind that, man? You're always so happy and upbeat on stage.
Well, coming up, like I said, watching JB, he was like that too. He was always smiling. You never seen him really mad. When he was mad, he was smiling. So it was really hard to tell if you was gonna be in trouble with him or not. But you know, and I took that in, and I just feel that if I'm happy, then I have no reason to be sad. And when I see people out there looking at me and I'm making faces, falling on my knees and crawling and wiggling and jiggling, it makes them happy because they see me having so much fun. So I believe that's just a God-given gift.
Right on. One more time for Little Ed. All right. Hey, Rockin' Rob. All right, my man. Give it up for Rockin' Rob. He was back there, back in the day. We're going to keep this moving, and the next artist is sitting right next to me, and phenomenal harmonica player. When I was just when I was just trying to get on the scene, I remember one time I came to his show at the Quiet Night, and he had, I remember you were getting airplay on WSDM, and they would play your one of your albums, and it had Hush Hush.
Uh-oh, yeah.
And believe it or not, at that time, I thought it was your original song. I didn't know it was Jimmy Reed's song.
Jimmy Reed.
But at any rate, so I was in the audience, and he would play, and I would be playing from the stage. You know, I was like, hey, man, I can do that, too. He didn't know who I was. But eventually, I did come to meet him, and he's a phenomenal musician as well as a very punny man. Punny?
Yep, I got it.
And a great guy, a great human being. So how about a nice round of applause for Corky Siegel?
Thank you.
So when I met you, and of course you had the band Siegel Schwall for many years. You and Jim Schwall, right? And you formed that band when?
Probably around 1965, early.
Okay. And you both were music students at Roosevelt?
How do you know?
Hey, man. I did my homework, man.
Okay, okay.
But that's correct, right?
Yeah, we were music
And
students. Yeah.
but where at that time, universities weren't offering blues classes. So what were you studying?
They were offering non-blues classes.
Right.
Classical and jazz, and I was playing saxophone, not harmonica.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You still play sax?
No, no saxophone.
Mississippi sax.
Too big.
I also read, and this really, I really didn't know this, that at one point you had a gig at Pepper's Lounge.
Yeah, that was my whole life right there.
Really? Can you talk about
Yeah.
that? Because Pepper's Lounge existed, and I'm sure Jimmy and Eddie know better than I do. Pepper's Lounge.
Yeah, 43rd and Vincent.
Yeah.
know it well.
Johnny Pepper.
Johnny Pepper.
When I came on the scene, Pepper's Lounge was located on 13th and Michigan.
Yeah, they moved. That's when
They
that's
had-
where they moved to from
Right.
from their original location. Yes.
But Johnny Pepper, but at any rate, this was considered a real, authentic South Side blues club. But you all weren't.
I didn't know that. We were looking for a place to play.
You
And
all weren't a black band.
Not then.
Tell us just a little bit about that.
Yeah.
How did that happen that you got the gig down at
So,
Pepper's?
I was trying to learn some blues. It wasn't happening, but I was working on it, and it was sort of coming out in a different way. But I had a little Wurlitzer piano, and I would have a hi-hat and a bass drum. Boom, chick, boom, chick, da-dum, 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 chick. Pick up a stick, chick-ching, 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 harmonica, and chick-ching, chick-ching, that kind of a thing. Really cool, huh?
Yeah.
And Jim Shaw was playing guitar, and so we learned a few tunes and said, let's go out and play. And we drove by and saw this place, Pepper's Lounge. He said, let's go in there and see if, it was during the day. We went in, and we saw Johnny Pepper, and he introduced himself as Johnny Pepper. And I said, you know, could we play? And he says, well, why don't you set up right here on the floor and play for the afternoon ladies that come in? And so we played, and he said he wanted to hire us to play every Thursday night from 9 at night till 4 in the morning.
Wow. Wow.
And yeah, exactly. He said, but we don't want you to do the one-man band thing. I'm going to hire you a bass player and a drummer. So if Howlin' Wolf wasn't playing that night, we'd have his bass player and drummer.
Okay.
Or Junior Wells wasn't playing, or Howlin' Wolf wasn't playing. Whoever wasn't playing, we'd have their rhythm section.
Okay.
I mean, we were just learning to play. I didn't know where I was. And the first night, Howlin' Wolf comes and sits in with us. Muddy Waters, Willie Dixon, Junior Wells, Otis Spann. And I never read that back of the album covers. I was just trying to learn the music, okay? And so this guy comes up and he says, Cork, I'd like to sit in. And he seemed a little like he'd been drinking. And I said, well, why don't you come back another time, you know, when you're feeling better? And the audience would let him sit in, that's little Walter.
Bad dude.
And I'm thinking, who's little Walter? I didn't know. I was just, it was so I had him come and sit in, and then he played, and I went, oh my God, that's little Walter, you know. So it was pure naivety, complete pure naivety. And these people, Wolf and Muddy and all these guys, took us under their wing, you know? That's,
Little Walter's daughter's right there.
I know.
Marion Diaz.
I told you that story. That's a great story, isn't it?
Cork, I've been informed I got one more question. And we
Okay.
talked about, so
I have a half-hour answer.
what's so great about Chicago blues?
What's so great about Chicago blues? Okay. first of all, blues, especially Chicago blues, I would say, but blues, is an example of expression in music. It's the example. All other forms of music, not that there's not great expression. Yo-Yo Ma, you know, a lot of amazing jazz people, Roland Kirk. But blues is just like the example. In the school, my understanding is that the school of blues is where the player offers his whole life, his whole personality to the music. You know, and when I saw Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters and those guys, and when I see these guys, that's what I see. Other forms of music, it isn't that other musicians don't do it like the blues guys, but the school of thinking, for instance, in classical music, is that you have to let the music do the talking. You stay out of the way. Jazz is like that a lot too, even other forms of music. So in blues, it's not that way. You jump in there, you share your personality. Your personality becomes part of the music. And so it becomes an example for the rest of the world of expression, because that's the rule.
That's the rule.
That's the rule. How was that?
All right.
Okay.
And even though we got to move down the line, also it's really interesting that you are pretty much a trailblazer with your collaborations with classical, with Seiji Ozawa, and with your current chamber blues music project.
Okay. I'll plug that quick. So 65 was Pepper Show Lounge. We went to Big John's. Butterfield went on the road. They needed someone to fill in the space. We certainly couldn't replace Butterfield, but we filled in the space, and this one guy came into the club night after night after night. One night he comes up to me, says, "Corky, I'd like your band to jam with my band." And again, I'm thinking, who's your band? And his band, he said, was the Chicago Symphony. And he was Maestro Seiji Ozawa, who I really should have recognized, but I didn't. And he wanted to bring blues to classical music. And, you know, just to say that that's what we've been doing. And Wolf and Muddy and all those guys, they loved that idea, that we were bringing blues to totally classical audiences, people who would never otherwise have heard it. And Deutsche Grammophon, you know, I understand went platinum, the record we did for them. And we're the only blues guys on Deutsche Grammophon, and the only non-blues guys on Alligator Records. So we've crossed a few bridges and burnt it. We say, we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. Okay.
One more time, Corky Siegel. All right. Sitting next to me on the other side. How about it for Eddie the Chief Clearwater? Born in Macon, Mississippi.
That is correct, yes.
Okay, and raised by your Cherokee grandmother.
Grandmother, yes. Grandfather and grandfather, and grandmother, yes.
That was, that is kind of unusual, because I know a lot of African Americans recognize that they have Native American heritage, but very few are able to make that direct connection, let alone being raised. Could you talk a little bit about that, Eddie?
Make a distinction. Yes, well, I was always told that I was, my family was always part Cherokee, so I grew up with that in my mind. So my grandmother was, and she looked very Indian. When you look at her, I said, well, she's my grandma. She looks good. Right. And so that's how it turned out, basically.
And they call your style West Side Chicago blues. You perform with the Five Blind Boys?
Yeah, when I was young in Birmingham, Alabama, they needed a guitar player. My uncle, they talked to my uncle, and he said, my nephew will play with you guys next Sunday. And I had no idea who the Blind Boys were. So, but I had heard him sing, in church and stuff. So I said, sure I will, So I got to play with them. I had no idea they were going to become as famous as they did, winning the Grammys and the whole bit.
Did you start out in the church as well?
Yes, oh yeah, very
Okay.
much in the South.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I read that you developed part of your style developed after working with Magic Sam and Otis Rush.
Yes, when I first came to Chicago, I moved on the West Side, 4100 South on Holman Avenue on the West Side. And Magic Sam was just coming up at the time, and I got to hear him on WGES radio, it's Magic Sam, and I went to see him, and I got very hooked on his music. Him first, Magic Sam, recording for Cobra Records, and also Otis Rush was my two favorite people.
Well, there's another person, and one of your dear departed buddies, rest his soul, the great Lonnie Brooks. Yeah, let's give it up for Lonnie.
Yeah, Lonnie.
I know you and Lonnie, as well as Jimmy and Lonnie, we're very close. And Lonnie said to me one time, and I listened to some of your early recordings, he said, there was a time Eddie Clearwater sounded more like Chuck Berry than Chuck Berry did. Well, talk a little bit about that.
Well, Chuck was always my idol. I heard one of his records. The first record I heard, I had a little Ford car. I was driving down Michigan Avenue, which is South Park Avenue now. They changed the name of it. I heard a record on the radio say, "Oh, baby doll, when bells ring out the summer breeze, oh, baby doll, will it end for you and me? We'll sing that old alma mater and think about the used to be." And I said, that's a very different sound. And then I heard his guitar sound. I said, this guy is really super. He's very different, And then later on, I heard Maybelline. And after that, I heard Johnny B. Good. I said, oh, this guy he's got to be tops. So I became a big fan of Chuck Berry. So I was always.
Did you all become friends?
Yeah, I got to perform with him one time at a club called the Manor Lounge in Stone Park, Illinois. I was playing there every weekend, but being a local, I was playing there every weekend. And the owner said, guess who's going to come in next weekend for a guest appearance? So I said, who? He said, Chuck Berry, Manheim and Lake Street. So I said, oh. And I was going to be playing there that weekend. So sure enough, Chuck flew in from Memphis, rented a car and came out to the club and went in the back. And the club owner said, come in the back, I want to introduce you to Chuck Berry. So I walked in the back. At that time, I wore long hair, and Chuck looked at me and said, oh, I thought I was looking at myself in the mirror for a minute. So he went on stage to do his show. He did a few songs, and the audience started yelling out to him, get Eddie Clearwater up there. I'm sitting in the audience. Get it. And then Chuck heard him, and Chuck said, come on up. So I went up, I picked up my guitar. Then the audience started saying, do Johnny B. Good. I said, oh, no, not in front of Chuck. No way, man. I said, no. Can't talk me into that. So then Chuck looked at me and said, go ahead, play it. So I did Johnny B. Good. So we had a good time. We got along very good together, yeah.
Right on. I just want to say, because again, we're moving along. I always enjoy your performances. I'm honored that the fact that I've had the opportunity to record with you
many times.
Yeah, thank you. And you I know you're not hiding your age because we have your birthday party up in space every year.
Absolutely.
You want to tell the audience your age?
81, yes.
And still going strong. One other quick thing, I got to ask you this because, it's kind of a combination question. I know you wear your trademark is the headdress.
Yes.
And they call you the chief.
Yeah. That's the name. Jim O'Neill gave me the name.
Okay.
We're going to call you the chief,
And,
Jim O'Neill from Rooster Records, yeah.
And the headdress, is that acknowledging you're a native heritage?
Yes, yeah. It's in honor and contribution to the American Indian. So they were oppressed and so
That okay. I've been instructed. One more time for the chief, living legend, Eddie Clearwater. All right, we're moving, down the line. And our last artist here. Hey, man, you got to have the reading glasses. Hush, Rob. Be quiet, fool.
Is that Richard Pryor?
Next artist, how about a round of applause for Mr. Jimmy Johnson? Along with the chief and Ed, I've practically as long as I can remember when I was around, Jimmy was around, and the question is always, how does he do it? How does he still look so young doing it? How is he so smooth doing it? And you ain't hiding your age either, are you, Jimmy?
Say that again? Excuse me, I was daydreaming a lot of times. Daydreaming.
Let's kick this out. Would you share with the audience your age, please, my brother?
Oh, that's going to be first.
That's going to be first.
Okay, well, usually I have got in trouble by telling people my age. I had one guy wanted to beat me up one time when I told my age. He didn't believe it, and he thought I was being smart. But my age is pretty much older. I used to walk Eddie to school, and he's 81. So I'm a little bit above that. Okay, I can tell you like this, Billy. Usually I like to play games, so I hope you can bear along with me. We ain't gonna do this too long because we taking up a lot of time. But when I was like maybe in my 70s, and say for instance, I was 72. I said, well, you turn that around, I was 27. And then when I got like in my 80s, if you turn 81, so if you turn that around, I'd be 18. I got 85. You turn that around, you'd be 58, and on up. But when I got to this age, I couldn't turn it around. It's kind of hard to believe, but I am. Well, November the 25th, I'll be 89.
Woo! Can't turn that around.
No, I can't turn that around either. But anyway, people always come to me when they find out how old I am. They ask me what my secrets are. And it's more than one thing. One thing you have to do when you, in your early ages of your life, you got to stay away from certain things, especially drugs, alcohol, and the wrong type of food will take you out. But anyway, one of the main things is being a kind person. That'll take you over the hump. Okay, next question. So little Ed, I gotta apologize. You little Ed asked me backstage, I wouldn't tell him how old I was. Now you know.
Okay. All right.
All right. Well, your younger brother, Seal, of course, is well known in the music business, and I know you had another brother, Mac Thompson, played bass actually at.
Played with me, yeah. Mac.
Yeah, Mac Thompson.
That's the Magic Sound. Yeah.
Okay. And did you have any other musical siblings or members of the family?
My father, he played a very nice harmonica. He played harmonica like I never heard nobody play like him. But he never was professional. He just played at house parties. And that's the way I learned how to play harmonica first, because he would always keep his harmonica and didn't allow us to bother it. But when he wouldn't be home, I'd look up there and I'd get it and play it. And he played guitar also, but never professional.
When you first started, you didn't begin as a blues artist. Didn't you start out as R&B or soul artist?
No, my first beginning, I was a blues player. I was playing with, remember I told you, harmonica Slim?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And when my first gig, I was 29 years old. I didn't start early because I came to Chicago, and when I was 21, I was a combination Class A welder. I had plenty of money, so it wasn't about the money, but I lived next door to Magic Sam. And I saw how famous he was and get on stage, and it's, wow, I can do that, because I played a little piano too when I was going to school, high school. And I got me a guitar. In 1958, in January, the 4th of July, I had a gig. But I got fired after the first night. But I didn't mind that, because I knew I didn't know how to play. I could play a little bit, but I hung in there. So I got with this other guy, Harmonica Slim, I was telling you about. And he told me, he said, well, man, you really don't play that well. He said, but you got good pretension. I said, oh, I'm going to keep you. I said, cool. Well, what really got me through playing guitar, I always could sing. That was no problem. I grew up a singer. So they would hire me to sing, and the guitar didn't mean a lot.
But we talked about something, and you don't have to touch it. I'll tell you what, I'll give you a choice. There was one question we discussed that maybe you didn't want to talk about, and then the other one would be, I believe Lonnie Brooks was your best friend, wasn't?
Yeah, Lonnie was my best friend. And it's not every day that you can have a friend that you really can trust, and y'all do everything together. But Lonnie was. He didn't shake your hand and looking at your wife. Like some guys do, shaking your hand and looking at your wife. Nah. But I've seen a lot of that in life. But anyway, I know Billy because me and Billy, we talk a lot. So sometimes on the phone, we talk politics. Because I'm a very big-time politician. But usually I never take it to the stage, because when I once get on the stage, everybody out here is listening, it's going to be recorded, and I can't afford to lose any fan, because sometimes if people don't have the same view that you have, they don't like you. So that's why I'd rather leave politics alone.
There you go.
All right.
I'm with you.
Well, that's that. One more time for the great, legendary Jimmy Johnson. We've got a few moments left before the performance, and so we're going to open the floor up for questions, and Lee back there has the microphone.
This gentleman up here.
Thank you. The chief brought up Jim O'Neill, and I've wanted to ask you, Billy. Jim O'Neill spoke doing a dedication to his wife at the Blues Fest this summer, and said that you were on the committee of the first Chicago Blues Fest. Now, I've written that you've said that you were in the audience of the first Chicago Blues Fest. And not to question the historian, but would you tell me your recollection of where you were?
Well, that's kind of ambiguous, because the very first Chicago Blues Fest was not recognized or titled as such, and that was put on by Willie Dixon August 30th, 1969. And that was arguably the greatest festival ever produced, because some of the stars were Junior Wells, Coco Taylor, Bo Diddley, Muddy Waters, Jimmy Reed, Betty Everett, and Willie Dixon produced it and supplied the backup band. Big Walter Horton. There was like about 30 legendary names. That also happened to be the very first time I heard the blues. And And then 7 years later, I was Willie Dixon's harmonica player.
Yeah.
And that's But the first official Chicago Blues Fest under Mayor Harold Washington, I was on that committee.
Another question right here.
Hi, I know that you told us about everybody else on stage. Can you tell us about yourself, please?
Well, you know, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time. Don't start me to talking, but I'll just say that, yeah, I tell everything. I've had my band. We celebrated the 40th anniversary of my band, the Sons of Blues, this year at the Chicago Blues Festival. Everyone in the initial lineup was the son of a famous blues man, except for myself, the son of Willie Dixon, Freddie, the son of Carrie Bell, Lurie, and the son of Garland Whiteside, the son of Clifton James, who was Bo Diddley's original drummer and Willie's drummer, Garland Whiteside. So that's how we started the Sons of Blues, and we kept the tradition of Chicago blues with a contemporary edge.
All right.
Was there a quote that I missed? Was there one? Here.
Melody, how were you formally trained? What's your background as far as your training?
I've had no training. I taught myself how to play guitar. I didn't have money for the lessons. They cost too much and they were too short. They were like 30 minutes for $10, and that was like a lot to me. So, yeah, I just kind of would sing just to the radio. That's how I practiced. And then guitar, I play by ear. So I just listen a lot for a long time and just tried to figure out what was happening. Yeah. Thank you.
One last question. Was there? Oh, thank you. Here you go.
Billy, we want to call you folks up to think about long gone clubs, because I saw you multiple times, Jill and I, at Artis's, and we loved the gig there. And I'm wondering if you guys could all mention a club you wished was still around.
Well, for me, again, Artis's, as you mentioned, Southside every Monday for 27 years. We really miss art. How many people got to go to Artis's on a Monday? The only upside is that I used to get free drinks, so I miss it, but my liver does not. Corky, any special club you want to?
I only had 2 clubs, well, 3. Peppers, Mother Blues, and Big John's. That was it. But in Mother Blues, man, you'd hear Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters. Go to Big John's, you heard Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters. Every week, James Cotton.
All right.
Otis Rush. What a wonderful, beautiful one Otis Rush was.
Eddie?
My favorite club was always Biddy Mulligan's for a long time. 7644 North Sheridan Road. I've seen Billy Branch there many times, and Coco Taylor and everybody, Willie Dixon and everybody. So that was my favorite club in town, yes. Until Legends came along, and now they're doing a very good job.
I have to interject the Quiet Night.
Quiet
Night.
My favorite club was Blues on Halsted. That's where I first got my first record producing thing with Alligator Records. But I played blues for years, and it was a lot of fun being there.
My favorite club is the same as this little guy over here. Blues on Halsted.
Yeah, there was another one when I first started playing was Howlin' Wolf's Duke Showplace. I don't know if any of you guys know about that. It was on the west side of Chicago, on California, in something, Fifth Avenue or something. You remember that one?
No.
Well, the first time I played there, I got paid $5.
Man, you was hit the big time.
The Duke Show? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's all the time we have for questions for tonight. So thank you. Give them another round of applause.